Oops. There we go. Clicked the wrong scene there. All right. Well, welcome back. Sunday Speedrunner Spotlight. Actually on the right scene. You just ignore that text you saw briefly. It's fine. All right. Welcome to the show. BEEVE, hello.
Hello. How's it
Hello.
going?
It be going. It be time to talk about speedrunning,
That's
I
right.
think.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Right off the Genix interview that
Yeah.
just got uploaded at least. I know it was recorded months ago, but
Yeah.
plenty of content surrounding you and talking. So there you go.
Yeah. And all we do as speedrunners is just yap, so it makes sense.
Yeah, that's the whole point of this, I suppose. Well, I guess we can begin yapping. So go ahead and introduce what you kind of do in the scene.
Yeah, so I'm a Mario 64 120 star speedrunner primarily. It's the one category in game I've stuck with probably the most out of everything I've done. And I also do commentary as well for the 120 GSA, LTAs and stuff, and like various other events too. You'll probably see me a lot on the GSA channel doing commentary. So I do 120 runs and 120 commentary, and have a blast doing both of those things. Right now in 120, I have a 138. Uh, Pretty cool to say that out loud that I have a 138 now. 20. 138 used to be a big milestone in 120, so it's cool. Gotten that far. Um, and what got me into Mario in the first place, speedrunning wise, I guess, I played Mario my entire life, Mario 64. I always played it every year. I beat it casually once a year, got all 120 stars, and right before I even knew like what speedrunning was or anything, I usually like to do like glitches in games. That was kind of what I did when I was growing up. And I was on some like forum post back in like 2005, 2006, where someone found out how to do Mips clip in Mario, and I thought that was really cool. So in like 2006, I was doing Mips clip, and I was like 12 or something back then. So definitely a little while ago. Um, so I like doing that before I even do any speedrunning stuff. And the the MIPS clip kind of led to like other glitches too. Is like I was doing like the cloning glitch and stuff in Mario, which is where you like have an object in your hands, like, and you like go through a loading zone and you like spawn other objects. I would just do that for hours going through the wet dry world tunnel, just like hours and hours and hours. I'm like, what item am I gonna get this time? And I kept doing that constantly. It was super fun. It always made that game like really exciting because of that. I also did glitches in other games too, but it was mostly Mario 64 that my imagination ran wild. And even like not even knowing what speedrunning was, I was kind of already doing speedrunning strats. I just didn't put it in one run. I didn't think to do it faster. I just like doing the tricks. And so I did know like what like I think a little bit afterwards I kind of found out what speedrunning was when I saw like more and more people talking about like, oh, I can beat this game in under 30 minutes now, and I was just like, that's crazy that you can beat it in under 30 minutes. And it never really prompted me to do runs of my own. Um, but I did have I had a YouTube channel back in the day, and I did a 16-star Let's Play, which is pretty funny. So I would just go through the game and get the stars casually, but in the route that 16 star does it. So it was pretty funny that I did a 16-star Let's Play. So
I don't think you can call 16-star Let's Play at that point.
yeah, well, I did Let's Play strats. Like I didn't do any
Hmm.
other crazy glitches. It was just the MIPS clip and the BLJs. Those were like the only things that I did that were different. But it was really funny that I did that back then. The videos are gone now. You can't find them anymore. I deleted them because I was embarrassed about them. But but yeah. that was a time.
Hmm.
And then, I guess going through more of the history of speedrunning stuff, I did, find another video online of someone getting a space jump early in Metroid Prime, and I was able to do that as well, which I thought was super cool. That was probably right around the same time I was doing the Mario Mips clip and stuff. It was like getting space jump boots early. So that was pretty cool. That's another game I speedrun as well as Metroid Prime. So I consider Mario 64 and then Metroid Prime like my two main speed games. Mostly Mario though, but I am pretty decent at Metroid Prime as well. I like that game a lot. Um, so I think years went by. I was hanging out with some friends, IRL, and we went into his room, and he was like, "Bro, you gotta check this out." And he showed me the zero star tasks, which probably has like millions and millions of views at the time. It probably still does, but it was the zero star task from like 2009. And they're like, look how crazy this person is. They're called Tass.
Hmm.
And like in my mind, I was just like, I don't think that's a real person, but I've been surprised before. But spoiler alert, Tass is not a real person, unfortunately.
Well, it's a real
Um,
person, just not playing it in real time.
right, it's a robot essentially just playing back inputs.
You're
So
programming a robot, yeah.
yeah, but, I thought that was, like, crazy that to be the game in 0 stars. I was like, "That's really cool." And I remember people talking, like, the LBLJ, the lobbies backwards long jump, is, like, impossible to do RTA, but then they found a way to, like, figure it out after that. I thought that would never happen. And so, in my mind, I just never considered trying to speedrun anything. So, whenever, anything speedrunning came up, I kind of kept it in the back of my mind, and I did watch this is really funny to say, but I did come across, Siglemic's live stream on Facebook, like, of
Huh?
all places. Yeah, I saw some random person post about it on my friends list, and they were like, "Mario 120 star speedruns," and I was like, "What the hell is this?" So, I clicked, and I was watching, like, Siglemic, like, back in, like, 2013-ish, and I didn't really watch, like, a lot of it. I was just, like I was intrigued a little bit, but I wasn't super invested to be like, "I wanna watch this all the time." Like, I never really had that passion. Um, so I knew about speedrunning, and I knew about, like, all the stuff that had to do with speedrunning, and, I think what made me keep up more with speedrunning was the Summoning Salt videos. I think that's kinda what made me more interested in speedrunning in general and keeping up with it is like, oh, Summoning Salt is a really good content creator, has been making videos on speedrunning games and different parts of speedrunning and specific levels, specific categories. And I thought that was super cool. I think the first Summoning Salt video I watched was the Super Metroid one. I think that was the one that was one of the cooler ones back in the day. And I forget when that was. I think that was like 2016 or something. I just thought that was super cool. So, like I said, never really did speedrunning on my own. I kind of just like was doing my own thing in my real life. I'm a musician, so I was playing a lot out. I was playing with several bands. And then when the pandemic happened in 2020, all shows came to a halt. Everything was closing down, so we couldn't play shows anymore. So I was like, "Oh man, what am I gonna do?" So we were just indoors all the time, nothing happening, and I wanted to try streaming because I did hear about streaming and saw people streaming. I'm like, "Oh, well, I'll just try streaming, see if I like it or not." And so I kept streaming. It was fun, and then I didn't get into speed running until late 2020 is when I was like, um, I was playing a lot of Smash Brothers back then, and when you get like recommended like channels, there was one recommendation on there was it was Armada's channel, and he's obviously a really like goated Smash Brothers player in Melee, and now he does Mario 64 speedruns, and I was like, wow, people are still doing Mario speedruns. That's insane. So I went and clicked watched Armada, and I was like, "This is really cool." like, I actually kind of want to try and do this now. So I was like, I remember hearing about it and watching it a little bit. I just wasn't as invested, or it made it seem simpler to do because back then it seemed like a hassle to do. It seemed really hard to like get all the equipment and everything together. But seeing a lot of people taking up speedrunning and like taking up Mario, I was just like, you know what? How hard could it be? So I was like, let me fire up my Wii, my Wii console because I had Mario Wii on there, the Wii VC version. So I played it on there, and that was the first version I started off of. I didn't have practice ROM or anything. I was just messing around with it, and then I remember Armada rating like other members in the Mario community, and that made me um, become friends with like more people within the Mario community. And now I feel like I just know everyone in the Mario community now. And ever since then, I've just been kind of working on Mario, and I was just like, this is really cool. I want to keep playing this game. I'm improving, and like even then, I was already playing it casually, like once a year. Like I said, beating it with all 120 stars. So I was doing that, and I was getting better and better. And then at some point, I was just like, I want to switch to a real console now. I think the threshold of where I switched from 70 to 120 was I still had a full time job at the time, but during the pandemic, there were layoffs, and I was unfortunately laid off from my job. And as soon as I got laid off from my job, I was like, well, since I have no other time to do anything else, I'm gonna learn 120. And then I was like, I think this would be a cool category to do all stars rather than just 70 of them. So I learned 120 in like 2 weeks or so, and then started doing speed runs. And then like within like a week or so, I got sub 2 hours on WeVC. So sub 2 hours pretty quickly, and I was like, okay, this is awesome. I think I'm doing really well. And then uh, and then I got sidetracked playing other games too. So I started running Metroid Prime, and think after Metroid Prime, I came back to Mario, but instead of on Wii VC, I actually had a full console setup now. So I was playing on console on N64 because that's like the version that everyone else plays on. Like if you want to get serious and play the game seriously, like people usually try to just play on original hardware, and it's super cool to play on the original hardware in my opinion. It just feels more natural. Um, and plus, you have like all lag reduction strats too, which is super important when you play the game, and I think that's super cool. So yeah, when I switched to console, it took me a bit to get sub 2 hours. It was a lot harder than playing virtual console, that's for sure. But I was able to adapt and work with the lag, all that stuff, and I ended up getting my first sub 2 finally after like I think a month or so. And I wanted to keep bringing my time down further and further. So a few months went by. I was bringing my time down minute by minute, and then I eventually, in February 2021, is when or no, February 2022 is when I got my first 149, and I thought at that moment I was like, okay, I think I'm getting pretty okay at the game, and I got really I was like, this is a really good time for me. Obviously, at 149, it's like it's not even top 100. But at that time, for me, I worked really hard to get it, and I went over the hill, finally got it, and I took a break from 120 again. Did some other games. So throughout the entirety of 2022, I was actually doing something called a week challenge. I kind of came up with the concept on my own. I don't know if anyone else did it. Like as well, but in my mind, I didn't copy anyone else. This is kind of my own idea, but maybe it exists somewhere else. But it's a 1 week challenge where you learn the speed game and do runs all within 1 week. And I gave myself a time limit to be like, okay, I have a week to learn the game and then get this time in any random speed game. So I did them. I did 11 different games in the year of 2022, as well as playing 120 as well and
Wow.
lowering my times in 120 in
It's not like one
Mario.
game a
So
month, like 1 week a
yeah,
month. Okay.
yeah, exactly. So month of January, I did Mario Brothers 3.
Oh hell
Month of
yeah.
February, I did Ocarina of Time, GSR, which is Ganondorf Source Requirement, which used to be like one of the OG any percents. So I learned that, and then in March I learned Banjo Kazooie 100%. Then in April I learned A Link to the Past any percent. Then in the May, I think May I learned Super Mario Odyssey any percent. Then June I did, I think it was either Paper Mario. No, it was Paper Mario I did in June. So I did Paper Mario any percent, which is the original any percent, not the new SRM one, wherever it's called. Then I did after that I did Super Metroid any percent, and that was super fun. And um, Super Metroid, and then after Super Metroid, I think I have a whole spreadsheet of like all like games that I've done. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, but I also did Mario Kart and I did Mario Star Road as well, which is a ROM hack of
Mm.
Mario 64.
Which Mario
Um,
Kart?
Mario Kart 64.
Okay, it's the good one.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Of course.
Hot take, honestly, because a lot of people don't like the 64 version. I just think
Well,
the 64 version has like so much nostalgia for me, and I'm so used to the controls, and that's what I grew up with. So
I speak from the speedrun perspective. That game is an incredible speedrun.
yeah, I
I
think yeah,
Yeah,
speedrun wise, I think that's the coolest speedrun in my opinion for any of the Mario Karts.
yeah, definitely watched many of that, but yeah, I'm a Mario Kart Wii enjoyer if I'm gonna pick a favorite. But yeah, for the speedrun, 64 is so cool.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think casually Mario Kart 8 is probably the best one for me. I like
Yeah,
that one a
I
lot.
see that.
But for the speed run, like you said, yeah, Mario Kart 64 definitely takes the cake.
So
Um,
variety of games there, that's for sure.
yeah, yeah. So I picked up a lot of games, and like I was pretty ambitious with a lot of my times that I wanted and to learn within a week. I think I was able to get like 3 games where I like met my goal, but all the other ones I didn't meet them at all. So I was pretty ambitious. Like for SMB3, I did Warpless, and I wanted to get sub hour within a week with no practice ROM because
Oh,
I didn't have an EverDrive on my NES, so I just kind of raw dogged it and just hope for the best and learned the levels just by watching like other runs. So I was able to get a 101 though in a week, so I thought that was pretty
without the
impressive.
practice run? Wow.
Yeah, without the practice ROM.
Okay, yeah, that's actually pretty good then.
Um, I would like to go back to Mario Brothers 3 Warblers because that category was super cool. There's a lot of tech that I didn't really realize was in the game that
Oh yeah.
super cool. Like there's a lot of like despawning stuff you do where you
Mm-hmm.
despawn like a piranha here, or you like despawn one of those like mini piranhas in I forget what world it is. It's like 6-4 or something that you do it in. But it had a lot of cool tech in it that I liked.
I love despawning things.
Yeah. But yeah, I did a lot of those games as well as keeping up with 120 as well. So in the year of 2022, I think I had a 154 in the beginning of 2022. And then at the end of 2022, I had a 145. So I brought it down
Wow.
like almost 10 minutes. And
On
I was
top
in
of
a good
learning like
spot.
11 games.
Yep.
God damn.
Yep. I was I was pretty busy in 2022. Um, so I did that, and 2023, I was gonna do more week challenges, but I stopped doing them because I moved, and I was focusing more on 120 because I started noticing even more and more improvements, and so I was getting better and better. So beginning of 2023, I had the 145, and after 145 at the end of at the end of 2023, I got it and brought it down to a 141. So I brought it down 4 more minutes. And that's when the huge like the huge like skip was found for carpetless. So carpetless coming out kind of like made me want to push my time even further. because I was telling myself I was probably gonna stop playing at around like 140, 139. I was gonna stop playing Mario because I was like, that's a good time to like kind of call it there because like 139 is a crazy time. So beginning of 2024, starting off with a 141, now I'm down to what are we in August now? So now I have a 138. So brought that down 3 more minutes, and I'm still working on my time now. I want to get a 137 by the end of this year, but I think I'm not sure if I want to stop playing Mario 120 star at 137. Like I'm still thinking about like, am I gonna retire 120 at 137? Like I'm still kind of debating it whether or not I should stop playing at that point or just play to have fun or play a different category or something. But I know there's a plethora of different other speed games that I want to try out. So, um, but at the moment, 1 in 20 is like my bread and butter. That's what I've been working on the most. It's what I put the most time into. I treat like practice seriously. I put a lot of my like extra time that I'm not working my full time job um, towards Mario 64. So
Hmm. I mean,
um,
you
that
have to for 138 level times.
yeah, you it really separates like I think with like a lot of time and practice, I think people can reasonably get within like the 143 range.
Like Siglamic
Uh
time.
yeah, like Siglemic Bop. I think within like 2 years of just doing 120, I can reasonably see anybody doing that if they just keep practicing and focusing on like where they, are the worst at in their stages and they work on that. And like you got to know like when it comes to like speedrunning 120, you really got to know like what are you the worst at? Because whatever you're the worst at, that's what you need to work on the most of. And it really comes down to being extremely consistent with 120. It's not so much I'm going to do all these stars extremely fast. It's more so of like make as little mistakes as possible. And if you do make a mistake, um, know your backups super well and like how fast are your backups as well because not every single speed run you do in 120 is going to be flawless. There's always going to be mistakes. The world record has tons of mistakes, so it really comes down to just like how consistent you are as a runner, and that's what really helped me kind of figure out like, okay, I think I need to know what to work on and for 120 for that to even happen. So um, whereas in 16 star, you got to go full ham for everything. And if you make one mistake, you reset. At least in
Yeah.
120, if you do make a mistake, you can kind of just like brush it off and just be like, you know what, I got time saved somewhere else. I'm gonna make it up there. So that's what I kind of like about 120.
Yeah, and I know your PB specifically has like a huge mistake in it, and it's still the time that it is.
Yeah, I made a huge mistake in Big Boo's Haunt. Um, and it cost me like 40 seconds. Like right in the beginning of the game or right at the beginning of that level, you do ghost hunt. That's like the first one you do because if you do ghost hunt like another star, the text boxes don't show up or the text boxes still show up even if you do like a different star. So um for the ghosts because sometimes you need their coins or whatever for the 100 coins. So we always do ghost hunt first. Everyone does it first. And as I was killing the first Boo ghost in the right room, I fell all the way down at the bottom where the merry-go-round is, and to get back up, you literally have to, like, without doing what I did in the run, which is actually exit course and then re-enter BBH, Big Boo's Haunt. Um, you would have to go, like, all the way up, take an elevator, and then you would just lose so much time. So the best thing to really do is just like quit out of the level and then re-enter it. And it cost me 40 seconds. So I think I have like a 650 or a 715 BBH in my 138, which is crazy. So um, that was probably one of the, like the biggest mistakes I've ever made in a speed run I've ever done in 120, and it happens to be in my PB. So it's kind of crazy to think about.
So just proving that you can make mistakes in 120 and keep playing.
Hmm.
Prime example. So
Exactly.
when you started running, you started with 70 then? Was that right?
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
started with 70 star.
And then
Uh,
did when you switched to 120, did you just never look back?
no,
Okay, fair
I'll do
enough.
70 here and there if I feel like doing it. Like if I'm getting tired of LBLJ, I'll just be like, you know what? I'll just do 70 because I hate LBLJ right now. So
Yeah.
I'll just randomly do a 70-star run, and then most of the time, whenever I just randomly do it, I'll get a PB because I just never really do 70 that often. Because the more you do 120, I feel like the better you are at playing the game. Um, because 120 is just so well rounded, and you have like so much consistency and like all the stars. And then for 70 star, there's like I think there's 3 stars that are completely different. Yeah, 3 stars that are 3 3 stars that are completely different that are not in the, in 70 star, and that's Bits No Reds, which is the final stage, TTM Reds, which you don't do in 120, and then, Lava Boost, which is in LOL. So you don't do any of those in 120, which are all those are like my worst. Like
Uh-huh.
I'm so bad at all those parts because they're not in 120, so I have no reason to practice them. But everything else, I'm pretty consistent in.
Don't forget Wet Dry World, 100 plus
Oh yeah, that's
secrets.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, my Dry World 100 plus secrets.
It's
Right.
actually kind of crazy how different 70 is. Just because
Yeah,
of how the routing works.
yeah, it's got pretty cool routing because like you don't even go to HMC when you're in basement. You go to HMC like after you're done with upstairs after Snowman's Land. So going back down to HMC, it's actually kind of cool because it spawns the second Mips rabbit and it saves a lot of time. And I think that was kind of like well recently discovered. It's I think 2019 they discovered that it actually saved time to go back like to do HMC late because back then they were doing Toxic Maze in HMC while they were down there. They were doing navigating the Toxic Maze in lieu of doing the MIP star to go back down. But they found theorizing like maybe we can save time if we went back down after Snowman's Land, spawned the second MIPS, and ended up saving a lot of time. So
Mhm.
pretty cool.
Even more than Toxic Maze BLJ now.
Yeah. Well, you can't do BLJs in 70,
Oh, you
so
can't do them in stages either. Okay.
yeah.
I thought it was just like the hub stuff.
No, there was talks where people wanted BLJs to be allowed in stages, but it would just ruin the integrity of 70 star because 70 star is like the any percent no major glitches
Yeah. Mhm.
category, which is I think pretty cool, and I think it should
Yeah.
stay that way.
That's fair. I can agree to that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I forget like all of the categories technically mean something, but they just go based on star count.
yeah. Like
So
for 16 star, you can't do SBLJ, which is skipping the 30 star door. You need to use MIPS to clip through it.
yeah, it's just like any percent and then 2000 whenever and then one stars any percent 2000 whatever. That's what
Yeah,
it is.
yeah. No, I remember they were calling 16 star the any percent category for Mario 64.
Hmm.
Really, really funny.
Yep, don't need any of those stars actually.
No, no, definitely
Classic
not.
speedrunning.
Yep.
So
And
oh, go ahead.
I was gonna go into like another part of Mario, and I
Okay.
was gonna talk about like how competitive it is. 'Cause that's like a major thing that also kind of keeps me going in Mario is like competitiveness in 120 because a lot of people are like bopping each other's times all the time. You'll just be like, yo, this person just got this crazy run and they just like bopped like 40 people in one run. It was crazy. And it always kind of motivates me to keep going. And it's like, well, if they can do better, I can do better. And with the GSA pace LTAs happening and trying to qualify for those get extremely competitive too. I really well, before I even go into this pace LTA qualifier, LTA standing for live time attack, by the way, in case anyone didn't know. So in a live setting, you have a set amount of time to do one run. You can do as many resets as you want, and whatever time you get in those days is your best time, and that's what you get pinned up with against other people. So I think it's not really a race. It's just more so of doing runs at your leisure, and it's all within a few days. And I think that's pretty cool. A race is like really stressful, but like I think LTAs are a little more laid back in my opinion. But during the LTA pace qualifiers for the fall, I believe. No, the yeah, the fall. In 2023, I got 8th place, which was super close. So the top 7 qualified to get in, and I got 8th place, and
Mm.
that made me push myself even further. Just be like, wow, I got extremely close to qualifying. I think I should try and keep this going. So, that's what I doing, and this pace qualifier, I'm just like, I can't be going against these people because they're all insanely good at the game and very consistent. And I kind of made a decision on myself to be like, okay, I need to work on my 120 before I try to qualify. I like try and qualify more for 120. So not gonna qualify this time, but probably next time I will try and qualify. But sometimes you got to know when to like fold them rather than try and force it. It's because there's a lot of like, I mean, obviously Mario is super fun to run, but there's a lot of stuff with Mario that like I think it's just speedrunning in general where you really have to deal with like the mental strong like the mental fortitude you need to actually do speed runs and like be okay with making mistakes and being okay with like okay when am I going to I don't know where I was going with this, but all I'm saying is like the mentalness with speedrunning is like a whole other game rather than like the practice and like doing the runs and the physical aspect of it. The mental aspect of it is like really hard. I mentioned this in the Genix interview, but I think one thing that's super important that a lot of people kind of tend to overlook is like you got to have a lot of patience, even when you're like just starting speedrunning and then starting to get better. You need a lot of patience because yes, you're going to make the same mistake every single time. You're going to make this mistake sometimes. You're going to make this mistake sometimes. You're going to lose a run here. You're going to lose a run here. You're going to lose a run in this exact spot probably 50 times in a row. You need to have the patience really to really just be ready to start speed running. And when you take it seriously, that's when it kind of sometimes goes down a slippery slope. But I think it's super important to have patience and be okay with making mistakes and being okay with like, you know what, I tried my best. Can't really be too hard on myself because if you start being hard on yourself, you start thinking negatively, and then at that point, the game just doesn't end up being fun at that point. So I think if you're doing something you're not enjoying, then why are you doing it in the first place? So I think patience is super important in speedrunning and like having fun with it and keeping an open mind and staying like healthy as well and staying fit actually helps your mind as well, I feel like. So all those are like super important when it comes to speedrunning. So I just wanted to throw those little tidbits in.
Yeah, mentality is incredibly important in
Yeah.
speedrunning, so I
Yeah.
get that. And I'm definitely still trying to do better in that regard.
And me too. Literally
Yeah.
today, I was like, I'm not feeling 120 right now. I felt so defeated at the end of stream. I had a lot of frustration, and I had to know just to be like, you know what, I'm just gonna stop trying to do attempts because I'm not getting anywhere, and I don't want to keep wasting my time if I'm not gonna get anywhere. So you got to know when to fold them, and then just accept like today's not your day. Maybe tomorrow's not your day. Maybe the next day's not your day, but like maybe some random ass Thursday night you're doing attempts and you're like, "Wow, I'm playing super well." You you don't know that. You can't predict that. It just randomly happens. That's why, like, when people come back from breaks when they play a speed run for so long and they are like, "I only practiced for 2 days," and they get back to doing runs, and sometimes they just immediately PB. Even though they haven't PB'd in, like, over a year or so, they'll just immediately PB after not playing for so long. It happens with a lot of top runners in 120. I don't know how it works, how they do that, but like Cheese has done it multiple times. He comes back from a break, immediately PBs or world records. Like it's so insane. Another example is a runner who goes by Smow. He got a PB after being in the military for 6 months. So he did military service for 6 months, comes back, does 1 week of like small practice. I saw him practicing. He did like 3 hour streams, probably like 3 times in 1 week. And during the LTA, he PBs. It's so insane. So it's like I think breaks are also like super important when it comes to, resetting the mind rather than like trying to brute force a run because you practice so much. I think resetting the mind and not thinking about the game, and then when you come back to game, you feel very refreshed. It's like honestly taking a vacation from work. It's the exact same thing in my opinion. Like you feel refreshed, you do like your productivity goes up. Um, when you take breaks in speedrunning, it's legit the same thing. So I think breaks are overpowered.
Yeah, I've definitely taken plenty of breaks, for better or for worse.
Yeah,
Uh, I guess one thing to remember is that a break can also mean doing something else instead, and then coming
yeah,
back. Yeah.
yeah. And it may not even be like speedrunning. You might be doing like a
Hmm.
sport or like playing out with your band or something. Like all those could happen. And then when you go back to doing runs, it just like maybe it just like ignites the flame in you. There's just be like, wow, this is so much fun. And you like rediscover a passion sometimes when that happens.
So, being like top level in Mario 64, what are some good like efficient practice methods you've developed or use?
Um, so I feel like my practice has changed a lot over the course of a few years, but like how I practice now, I usually just for 120 stars specifically, I just grind 100 coins. That's usually what I practice the most of because most of the time when you make a mistake, it's going to be in a 100 coin because there's like RNG involved that you have to react to. And I think if you practice the 100 coins a lot and you get really good XCAM times, XCAM meaning like how fast you can grab the star in like within a timer because our practice ROM has a timer built into it. And it's called an XCAM because the camera icon turns into an X whenever you grab the star and you land. So as soon as it turns to an X, that's what is referred to as an XCAM. So I think for 120 specifically, it's definitely working on the 100 coins and getting decent at the 100 coins. That's what I've been revamping the most in my the past few months is just like going full ham on 100 coins and like going all in on every single strat for every single 100 coin. Like I would say like all my 100 coins are definitely my strongest suit when it comes to 120. I think whenever I do a 100 coin, for the most part, they usually go really well in my runs because I practice it so much. One of my best split times is DDD 100.
Hmm.
Um, I have a 236 because I go for like every insane strat you can think of. Like I do the triple jump fin, I do the early booty slide, which saves like zero point 0.5 to a second or so. I do the instant triple jump to the eighth red, and I do like everything that you can think of in that 100 coin. And I practiced it like not gonna lie. I think one night I did practice that one star for probably like 8 hours.
Oh God.
Like I went really ham on trying to make sure I had that stage very consistent and I worked on everything I need to. There are mistakes that do happen in DD 100. You know, it's not going to be perfect every time. I would probably consider that the one of the most nerve-wracking parts of 120 is DD 100 because if you make a mistake, you're losing a lot of time because you fall off that sub. You got to climb back up, and then everything just feels off. Like you always got to work with you always got to work with your mistakes and know what best backup to do and how fast you do them. But yeah, I think when it comes to 120, the 100 coins I think are the most important if you want to get decent at 120.
Got it. Yeah, those definitely are the longest stars and usually the
Yeah.
hardest, most
Yep.
movement heavy, etc.
Yes.
RNG, it's got it all, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Literally everything you can think of.
Yeah, got it. So, you said you also run Metroid Prime a lot, or at
Yeah.
least did. Now I know nothing about that game, so I guess explain it to a noob, the speedrun.
So Metroid Prime's a really cool speed game because it's one of the few games that actually goes off of an in-game timer still. So whenever
Mm,
we finish a run, um, we usually wait until the credits are done and then we find out did we PB or not based on an in-game time. So we can PB an RTA, which is full like timer, which we still use a timer whenever we do speed runs. I mean, some people do. I do, but you won't really know if you PB'd or not because they go in increments of minutes.
mm,
And I don't think it rounds up or rounds down at all. It does that minute, whatever minute it is. If it's like a 109.00 or if it's a 109.59, it's still gonna be a 109 regardless. So so it's pretty cool. And um So yeah, they go by in-game time, which is cool. A lot of that game is very, very movement heavy, which you wouldn't really think that game would be very movement heavy based on like how decent of a runner you are, but that entire game is just movement. Which kind of reminds me of Mario 64 because Mario 64 is the same way. Like you're gonna be doing a ton of movement um, and there's not really a ton of glitches in Mario 64. It just really goes down to like how decent your movement is. And Metroid Prime's the same way. So we're going to be doing during Metroid Prime, you're going to be doing a lot of either combat dashes or scan dashes, which this is only what you can do in the 1.00 version. So if you do like a dash, and you flick the stick and you like let go of the locking mechanism because the the way like Metroid Prime controls, it's like tanky. So like you move forward with the stick and then you look left to right, but you also like keep moving forward. It's kind of interesting first person shooter, but the way you like not lock onto things, but the way you like move around the like your vision to like look up or down, you actually have to hold R, which is kind of interesting. So you can't just like look up and just look up. Like it's not like a dual analog system. It's just one analog stick. So it's a little weird to get used to if you're used to like dual analog, like say for instance Halo. Like if you're used to doing like Halo games, it's gonna feel completely different in Metroid Prime because you only have one stick and that's up, down, left, right, and then it takes a little bit to get used to, but, when you do a combat dash and a scan dash, your movement gets, like, pushed super far and super fast just randomly, so, like, I'm not sure if it's capped or not, but, like, you can get a lot of speed just by doing, like, a dash or a scan dash or something off of another object. It's a pretty unique based form of movement, and a lot of it comes from those scan dashes and you know what can I scan dash off of here, what can I combat dash off of this. That's where you kind of develop strats and movement based on different areas you can do scan dashes in and combat dashes, etc. So it's sort of like a BLJ kind of because like I said, I don't know if it's capped or not, but like you get like a lot of speed just by scanning and then flicking the stick and letting go of the target. Like you go really fast, and that's only in the 1.0 version. And Metroid Prime has like a lot of routes you can take as well for any percent. So there's a huge history of Metroid Prime speedrunning, kind of summoning salt esque. I forget who actually made the video. It's on the tip of my tongue, but he it took him like multiple years to even make this video. And the video is an entire history on Metroid Prime any percent speedruns, and I think it's like 5 hours long. Um, so if you have like one afternoon that you want to kill time, I highly recommend checking out the Metroid Prime any percent world record video. It has a very rich history. It's super interesting. Um, and there's tricks in that game that I thought I thought they were like they've known about it maybe like recently, like the past like 5 to 6 years, but like these people they were figuring out IBBF, which is Ice Beam before Flagra. It's a very hard strat to do. It's super complicated and like they found that in like 2004. I was like, "How did you find these things in 2004?" Like, I was blown away that they discovered that strat way back then, like 20 years ago. That it blows my mind. So, I think it's a really cool video, and it goes into, like, the super rich history of that game because I think it's just as rich of a history as Mario 64, in my opinion.
Mm.
Just as rich. So, it's super cool to watch. So, definitely check it out. But the, I think the game is super cool, and like I said, there's, like, different strats you can do. There's, like, an intermediate route, there's, like, a beginner route, and there's, like, an expert route you can take, and there's more stuff being discovered about that game, like, all the time. Like, there's new setups for things that are being discovered, there's new strats being implemented, and the community is the Metroid Prime community, they're very, what's the word? They're very, like, intrigued by Metroid Prime that they just won't stop playing it. That's the only thing they do.
I see.
So, um, so I think I think it's really cool that people are playing it, and I still think, like, more people are finding out about it now and are picking it up, and I'm seeing, like, new runs on the leaderboard, and it's really cool to see, and, the world record holder, T3, he just got a new world record, like, a month ago, and the old world record was, like, from last year, and I thought that record would just never be beaten ever,
Mm.
and then he just ended up beating it, like, a month ago, and I was just like, "This is insane." He's basically like the green Squeegee of Metroid Prime, so he, like, doesn't make a lot of mistakes, he does everything so it honestly almost looks like TAS, like, that's how good he is at it, so he's a crazy runner.
I definitely
Um,
noticed a lot of comparisons between 64 and Prime.
yeah, yeah, I think it's pretty similar to Mario because of like I said, it's all movement in Metroid Prime. Like, you can do a glitch in a strat, and it's cool looking, there's a lot of glitches in Metroid Prime that you do in the run, but it really like, you can do that and be fine, but, like, it really comes down to, like, how fast can you move Samus in these rooms. So, um, it's a super cool speed run.
Yeah, it sounds like it's kind of similar to the 2D Metroids, just being really fast in individual rooms.
Yeah, I would say Metroid Prime is more segment based because when you go through a door, it's extremely seamless. Like, it really just
Mm.
seems like one big area. But even though it does load the other room, it feels like it's one big room the entire time. Whereas Super Metroid, there's different rooms that you can grind, and when you go through a door, the game kind of shifts the screen over and it loads the next part, and then you got to be ready. Like, you get your hands ready to just be like, okay, I got to input these inputs at this part because this room's coming up. Whereas in Metroid Prime, it's like one big room, so you kind of have to do it all in one go. I think it's kind of like segment practice in a way when it comes to Metroid Prime. Like you can't just practice one area and just practice it over and over again. I mean, you can. There are save states you can do. There's a good practice ROM for Metroid Prime that you can do. But when it comes to like full efficiency in Metroid Prime, you got to do it all in one segment. Whereas in Super Metroid, it's you can do each room and grind that room and just grind it all the time. And similar with Mario 64, you can grind 1 star because you're kicked out of the level after you grab a star, and you can get your hands ready and just be like, "Okay, I gotta get ready for this camera input when I enter the stage. I gotta be ready for this part of the run where I'm gonna do this strat." None of that's in Metroid Prime. You're kind of just, like, constantly going.
It's like
So,
nonstop.
yeah, yeah, it's kinda like nonstop.
Got it. Well, it sounds cool. I mean, again,
Yeah.
I never played that game, watched that game, know the speedrun of that game. So,
Oh, really? I
yeah.
definitely check it out. Like, at least, like, watch, like I think a good example is like, um, I know Oats and Goats does Metroid Prime speed runs sometimes. He has a pretty
Hmm.
decent time. I think he has a 109 or a 108 or 7 or something. He's got like a mid 10x, pretty good. Um, and he does everything in bounds. And I do the same route. I do the entirety of Metroid Prime in bounds. A lot of like the top level runners do a lot of out of bounds stuff, which I don't really like because it's really finicky and hard. So like you would kind of consider me doing like an intermediate route where everything is in bounds, but you do a lot of movement tricks. And people who do that route, they can get a sub hour time. They can get a 59. So I know sub hour is possible with my route. I just need to work on my movement and work on just moving Samus in general, like how fast I can go. But a good example is to watch like Oats and Goats' run if you want to like if you're interested in checking out a run because he does a lot of cool strats and a lot of cool different options that not a lot of runners would maybe do, but he probably made his own way or something, or like I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Um, and there's a lot of parts in that run where you're just like, "What the hell just happened?" So there'll be a lot of like shock factors to be like, "Why is Samus and Morph Ball rubbing against this wall for a minute? Like, what is going on?" Um, and then all of a sudden, like you'll just see like streaks of lightning just shooting across the screen, and you're just like, "I have no idea what's happening," and you're just watching it. So it's kind of like watching an Ocarina of Time run. Where you're just like, I don't know what this person's doing, but they're doing something in the speed run that they have to do. Some parts of Metroid Prime are like that too. So it's definitely a really cool watch, in my opinion. And if you want to like play it casually, just to like play the game, because I think Prime casually is an amazing game, super good. Um, I would suggest picking up the remaster because they remastered it recently. I think 3 years ago now or 2 years ago they remastered it, or 1 year ago. I don't know. It was kind of recent, and it was really good. And the graphics look really good on the Switch. I think it's the best looking game on the Switch in my opinion. Looks super good. It plays very similarly to not exactly like the original, and obviously they patched all the glitches that we do in the speedrun in the new version. But there's a lot of carryover and a lot of attention to detail in the Prime games where it's super cool in my opinion, and the atmosphere is cool. The music's sick. The boss fights are cool. Like everything about Metroid Prime, it's a very cool. So if you are interested in like at least playing it casually, like the remaster is like a good start, in my opinion.
Got it. All right. And then so 2022, you did like new game every month for 1 week. That was the thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any like funny moments or experiences from those, or like games that were cool? Just anything from that whole experience that's like interesting to talk about.
Um, think I mean, out of all the games I played throughout that year, and the one I enjoyed the most, the one I have like I was really I wanted to go like I almost wanted to do that game instead of Mario 64. Like, that's how much I really liked it. It was Super Metroid.
Mm.
I wanted to take Super Metroid extremely far. Like, I wanted to get like a 42 or a 43 or something. World
Okay.
record right now is like a mid 40. I wanted to get like a 42 in any percent. Like, I wanted to go far in that game, but the the SNES controller was just giving me hand problems, so I had to
Mm.
stop playing it. Otherwise, my hands would have just like kept getting worse and worse. They started feeling like really bad, and I was afraid that was going to affect me playing video games in general because I was putting a lot of hours into Super Metroid. Um, but I had to stop because of the controller. And I know there's another controller you can use for the SNES. They just allowed it to be legal in runs now on speedrun.com, and you can actually use a box controller. So
Mm.
like one of those hit boxes that you use in fighting games, you're allowed to use those in Super Metroid runs now. So I feel like I probably wouldn't see myself using one of those or just like even doing Super Metroid anymore at that point. I just want to play it as authentically as possible. And I was used to the SNES controller anyways, but yeah, I think Super Metroid was super cool. There's a lot of cool stuff in that game that also has a rich history. It was kind of considered the first speed run that got serious for a lot of players because I don't know if it was the first game to have an in-game time, but it had an in-game timer at the end, and that's what they used to go off of. But now it's all RTA. Um, so I think that game was super cool, and I wanted to take that far, but I didn't end up taking it far. Trying to think of like games that like I was kind of like cool moments in games that I was doing. Um, I do remember when I was doing Super Metroid. I was the Super Metroid community, by the way, super nice. I think it's one of the nicest communities I've ever been a part of. They were super like eager to help you, and like there was one moderator in the Discord for Super Metroid that made me my own practice ROM and
Hmm.
be like, he was like, "You got to work on these ROMs because I think you can benefit from having this practice ROM." And he DMs me like a custom practice ROM for me, and I was just like, "Wow, that's super nice of you to do that." So they're super willing to help you out, and like they're very patient, and it's like a bunch of older dudes like in their 30s and stuff. So obviously I fit right down. I'm a dude in
Old.
my 30s. So um yeah, they're all like they really love Super Metroid. They want more people playing it. So they want to do everything they can to like keep people from, you know, keep people learning it and, sticking with it. Um I when I was learning the game, um a lot of the tutorial stuff, I found on YouTube was mostly done by Oats and Goats, so I learned most of the stuff from him on his YouTube tutorials. So super awesome to like have those up on YouTube to watch and reference. Those tools were super useful, and I remember there's a thing in Super Metroid you can do called the Kraid Quick Kill. So you can kill Kraid quickly if you shoot like missiles in his mouth at certain points of when he opens his mouth, so he doesn't climb back up. Because there's two phases to the Kraid fight normally. Like you fight Kraid, and then all of a sudden he'll just like rise out of the ground. And the Kraid quick kill, you can bypass that whole phase. You can just skip the second phase and just go straight to Varia. Um, so I was grinding the Kraid quick kill, and I was doing runs, and then randomly out of nowhere, Oats and Goats was in my chat and just like talking to me. And I was extremely nervous because I was like day 4 into learning the speed run.
Hmm.
And I was about to do the Kraid quick kill, and after like talking to him for a little bit, I was like, "Hey, let's check it out. I'm about to do Kraid quick kill." And so I did it, and I actually got the Kraid quick kill, and I was having trouble with it a little bit. It's hard to do, especially if you're a beginner, but I nailed it. And I was like, I literally just did like I'm able to do this because of your tutorial, so thank you so much. And he thought that was like really cool. And I was like,
Hmm.
hell yeah. That was like probably one of the most memorable like speedrunning moments of my life. Just like performing the quick kill in front of the world record holder. So I thought that was super cool. And another moment is when when I was doing Mario Kart 64 speedruns, I was doing all cups, no major skips. So I was just kind of
Oh,
doing.
boo. No.
I know, I know. I think it would have been too hard to do all the
Yeah,
skips in one
no,
week.
very
So
hard.
I think maybe down the line I'll probably do all skips at some point because it is super cool. But I was doing the no major skips and like trying to figure out the tech in Mario Kart because there's some small tech I'm not real like I don't realize it even though I played it like for so many years. Um, and literally day one when I was learning the run, learning stuff, Abney was just in my chat and he was like, "Hey, yo, a new player playing. I hope you enjoy it." I was just like, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
Like the world record holder just comes in my chat and just like helps me out with like a lot of stuff that I wasn't aware of. And he was like, "Oh, you want to be doing this at this part, and you want to be like double tapping A in these parts if this happens." I was just like, "This is so cool!" Like he's just like helping me out in chat. Like I just thought that was super cool of him to do that. And Abney's like a really cool dude, super nice guy. So that was a really cool moment.
Hmm. Yeah. Mario Kart 64 is on my list of games for sure. That's
Hmm.
just it's too cool to not do, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. That also has a pretty rich history as well.
Hmm. Yeah, no, the first time I saw that game, I got suckered into watching it.
Yeah,
It's cool stuff. Super Metroid's cool too, but I don't have I haven't like played any Metroid games really.
yeah.
So I will change that someday, but
It's definitely a different game than what you know what you're used to because you do a
yeah.
lot of Mario stuff. You do the 2D Mario's and sometimes 3D Mario's. So
Yeah. And by 3D Mario's just 64.
I wasn't sure if you did Sunshine or
Oh hell
Galaxy
no.
or not.
Well, I don't know. I've thought about it. Not Sunshine. I really do not like that game, but
Oh, that was one of the games I forgot to mention. I did Sunshine as well in 2022. I liked it. I didn't mind
well,
Sunshine. The
I'm
only thing
sure
I
the run's good, but
yeah, no, the
I
run was cool. I just didn't
okay.
like Gelato Beach Skip. Doing that, it
Mm.
was like really annoying for a beginner. But like once you understand it, it's not too bad.
Is that the like
But
clip into the hut thing?
yeah, yeah, you
Okay.
skip all the shines and you just go you get shine 8 and then you can go to scroll to shine 7 and then destroy it or take out Shadow Mario cuz what you need to do in Sunshine is you have to just complete every Shadow Mario part of each
Oh,
level.
that's what it is. Okay.
So after you take out Shadow Mario, he floods Delfino Square, and then that's when you enter Corona, and that's when you go and take out Bowser. So
Okay.
that's what you need to
I
do.
wasn't sure what the check for that was. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, that's the check.
Got it. Hmm. Interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah. I played it casually. I beat the game. That's when 3D All Stars came out, but I was just the entire time I was like, I am not into this.
Yeah,
I don't know. But again, the speed run looks cool though. But
yeah. No, I think the speed run's really sick. I think it's underrated for how cool a speed game is actually, because a
I know
lot of
it's
people
hard
like
as
to.
hell.
Yeah, it's super hard. I know a lot of people like to rag on Super Mario Sunshine because Super Mario 64 is just so good that like it pales in comparison to Mario 64. But I still think on its own, it handles nothing like Mario 64. It's completely different. But on its own, like as a speed game, I think it's super cool.
Yeah.
Um, Galaxy, on the other hand, though, it's
Mm.
not so cool. But it is what it is.
Yeah, that I had thought
Uh,
of because I do have nostalgia for Galaxy, but yeah,
yeah,
I know it's long jump and that's about all you got. But I mean, the skips in that game with the gravity, it looks really cool.
yeah, there are some cool skips in that. Like I actually started learning Galaxy because I wanted to do a 602, which
Ooh.
is Mario 64, Sunshine, Galaxy 1 and Galaxy 2, 100% complete, all in one go. And I was learning Galaxy 120, but I got like halfway through learning it and then I stopped because I got bored because
Fair enough.
Galaxy is just so like kind of rough to go through.
Yeah, and the Galaxy games are like 70% of a 602.
Yeah. Galaxy 2 apparently from what I was told by everyone who knows a 602, Galaxy 2 is way better than Galaxy 1.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I think casually too, I liked Galaxy 2 more, just the level design mainly.
Yeah. And I know they have Womp's Fortress in
Oh
Galaxy
yeah,
2.
that clearly makes it peak right away,
Yeah.
so.
That's why it's better, obviously.
hmm Yeah, God, there's so many Mario games I need to replay. That's the
Yeah.
problem when you speedrun, you just have no time for casual shit.
Yeah, that's what's so annoying about speedrunning is like you never like you either don't have time to do casual gaming or you treat the casual game like a speedrun. It's
True,
super
yeah.
annoying.
So the games you picked for the like weekly challenges, are they just games you wanted to learn?
Yeah, there are games I was somewhat familiar with and knew that there's good speedrunning stuff in it, and I just wanted to learn it. So, um, so like when I did Mario Brothers 3, OT, Banjo-Kazooie, Link to the Past, Super Metroid, Mario Sunshine, Odyssey, Mario Kart 64, excuse me, and Super Mario Star Road. Like I was familiar with all those games as speedruns
Okay.
for 8 to begin with. So,
Yeah, that's cool. And then
mhm.
you said you only met like a few goals. How did you set the goals?
So I saw the world record and depending on what the world record is and depending on like what time I think I could reasonably get is what I tried to shoot for. So like for Mario Brothers 3, I think the world record at the time for Warpless was like a 50-40 or something. I forget what the time was.
Yeah, 50.
And yeah, and in my mind I was just like, let's try and get like sub hour or something. And I figured like sub hour would be a good goal to get.
hmm
So I went and looked on the leaderboard and I was like, okay, let's look at a sub hour time and see what strats they're doing. And if the strats look too hard or maybe I'm way over my head, I'm just like, all right, let me lower the goalpost down a little bit. Maybe I'll get like 115 instead. But I saw the strats for sub hour and I was like, you know what? I think I can do that. I think I can go for a sub hour. Um, and then same thing with Ocarina of Time. When I did GSR, I don't even know what the world record was for GSR. I think it was like a 114 or something. Uh, I think I was trying to get a sub 130, which is my goal. So I was like, yeah, 15 minutes like within world record. I think that's doable. I think that's not that bad, you know. So um, I was definitely wrong. I think I got a 149 in GSR, so I was way off my goal. I think that was the one that was the most far off from my goal, was Ocarina of Time, because that game's really, really hard.
Yeah,
It's a
I was
really
gonna
hard
say
game.
like the 101 in Mario 3. That's pretty close.
Yeah.
Good enough. We'll just blame
Hmm.
hands or something.
Yeah. But Ocarina of Time, I was definitely far off from my goal. And then for Banjo at the time, I think world record was I don't think it was sub 2 yet at that point because I was doing no FFM 100%, which is no furnace fun moves, which is a different category. So furnace fun moves, you have all your abilities unlocked. But if you do no FFM, you have to get your abilities throughout the game, and you can only do certain abilities for certain levels. But like if you have FFM, like all your moves, you can beat the levels a lot faster. But it's kind of not authentic to do it that way. So I just wanted to do it as authentic as possible, and that's what I did. So for Banjo, I think it was like a 2:04 or something. That was the world record, so 2 hours and 4 minutes. And I was like, you know what? Let me get like 2:30. I was like, I can be within the realm of a 2:30. And I saw the strats they were using. I was just like, yeah, I think a 2:30 is pretty reasonable, half hour. And I think I got like a 2. think I got a 240.
Hmm.
So I was kind of, within the realm. I was pretty close. And then I think one of the runs I actually ended up making the time I wanted was Mario Odyssey. Mario Odyssey, any percent, I wanted to get a 115,
Holy
and
shit.
I ended up getting a 115.58, I think. So
Okay.
I was like, okay, this is good. I'm happy with that. I think I ended it like a day early because I didn't want to keep grinding it because that was actually hurting my hands too. Because
Mm.
in the speed run, you have to shake the controller, which is super annoying. And I think that was giving me like wrist problems. So I had to stop doing it. So because I was like, okay, I'm just gonna cut it a day early. I already got my goal. I'm good. I'm just gonna end it here. So um,
I
so
feel
I
like
got
that
my goal
time's
for
pretty
that.
good for that game, but
Yeah, yeah. I had a friend of mine who helped me out learning that game. We were in like a one-on-one voice call, and he was showing me a lot of the strats,
yeah.
and it really helped me out. So
You know the 12-hour challenge?
yes,
Yeah.
yep,
I did Mario Odyssey for one of those. Uh, I think I got like a 143, so you know, that's
that's
okay,
not bad
right?
for
Yeah,
12 hours. Yeah,
sure. Yeah. I basically just did the route and then did a run, and that's what it was. Because it's
yep,
easy to like get a sub 2, but then it's kind of like Mario 64 in that regard, where the cleaner you get, like it's exponentially harder to
yeah,
PB.
yeah. I think Mario Odyssey is probably the closest to Mario 64 in terms of like everything's movement, and there's cool clips that you do that need to be pretty flawless. And there's no, like, camera setups or anything in Odyssey, at least sort of, kind of, but in terms of, like, movement in, like, a Mario game being close to 64, which is also another Mario game, I think those 2 are, like, the closest, in my opinion.
Hmm.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it
Um,
definitely felt like that game again when it came
yeah,
out.
yeah, I agree. Um, trying to think of, oh, yeah, the 12-hour challenge. I thought about doing that too, like, randomly. I might do it for, like, not like a super hard game, but, like, maybe some game that's, like, I can get, like, sub-hour in or something,
Hmm.
like, I was kinda thinking, like, maybe Breath of the Wild. I'd do a 12-hour for that because I don't know anything about that game. I don't know anything about the speed run. I think that'd be kind of a cool one to do,
Yeah,
or, like
I like the
maybe
12-hour challenges.
yeah, because I saw Simply doing some 12-hour challenges.
Hmm.
Um, I think he did one for Super Metroid, actually, but
Oh yeah,
I don't think he ended up finishing it because it
I
was
mean
too
fair.
hard.
That is a hard game.
It's very hard. The skill ceiling in Super Metroid is like infinite, just like Mario 64. It's crazy.
Hmm.
Um, and I know, yeah, Simply did some, and I know Chip Groove did a few as well, which was really cool. He did one for Sonic Adventure All Stories. He did a
Oh
12-hour
god,
challenge for that, and I was like, "That seems like a lot, Chip." And he was like, "I'm determined. This game is cool." I'm like, "Okay."
how
So,
long is that run?
I think world record's sub 2 hours.
Oh okay, it's not as long as I thought.
Yeah, no, it's not too. Some of the stories, like Tale Story, is like super short. Like I think you could beat it in like under 20 minutes or something.
Hmm.
And then the Amy levels are like there. It's only 3 levels in a boss fight. That's it. So some of the stories are pretty short, but I don't know if I ever want to run all stories for Sonic Adventure because of Big the Cat. Like
Yeah,
that just seems like so rough
so
to
I've
do.
heard horror stories.
Yeah. What's cool about all stories in Sonic Adventure actually is if you do an all stories run, all the stories actually count as separate speed runs that you would do for those categories as well. So if you do an all stories run, you get a PB in all of those other categories, which is cool.
Yeah. So
It's
if you
like
get a
doing
gold
it's
split,
like
it's just a PB. Yay.
yeah, so it's like doing stage RTA for Mario 64 and you just get a bunch of stage RTAs all in a row. It's kind of the same thing for
Hmm.
all stories. So,
Got it.
pretty cool.
Yeah. Um. So do you remember the games you hit the goal you set for yourself? You said Odyssey, but
Yeah, Odyssey and I forgot to mention this game too, but Sonic Adventure 2 Battle.
mm.
I did that game as well. I think out of every game I've done for that week challenge, that was probably the hardest one,
Mm,
actually. It was insanely hard. I got my goal in that. I wanted to get sub hour in that. I ended up getting like a 59, 50 or 59:35 or something. So I got sub hour in that, which was cool. That game was really hard. Definitely very hard to get used to the mechanics in that game. Movement's really weird. Um, but once you kind of understand it, you can kind of get through it. But yeah, and then memorizing the locations of the emeralds in the
mhm.
Knuckles levels, those were incredibly annoying to deal with. So you had to memorize like they give you like a hint based on like where the emerald will be, and it's like I can't even give an example because there are so many, but it's like floating along the islands over near this, and it's like I don't know where the hell that is. Like, how am I supposed to know where that is? But you kind of like after you do Knuckles levels for a while, you kind of get a hunch of like, okay, that's over here, or like this is gonna be over. I think that was one of the hardest parts in learning that game was the Knuckles levels because of all the memorization.
Yeah, that game has a
So
ton of
I
RNG just for that.
yeah, tons of RNG. People lose their run because they get like a whack pattern in like a Knuckles level, and it's like, okay, I lost like 15 seconds. I can't continue the run. It's
Ugh.
actually crazy, like how optimized the world record is. Um, so yeah, I met my goal for Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, and then I met my goal for Mario Kart 64 as well.
Mm.
And I think those are the only ones I met my goal in. Actually, if I pull my chart up, I should be able to see where I met my goals because I have an entire Excel spreadsheet of every single run that I did in 2022. Okay, so SMB 3, I got 101. OT, I got 149. Banjo's there. Oh, Link to the Past, I wanted to get a 145. I ended up getting a 150. That was 5 minutes off of that. Um, Paper Mario, I got a 215. Or I'm sorry, I wanted a 215, but I got a 217 instead.
Mm.
Unfortunately, I what happened? I think I died to Junior Troopa near the end. I was like ahead by like 20 minutes or something on like one of my other runs I had, so I was feeling extra nervous, and then I ended
Mm.
up like not being able to clutch out the 215. Unfortunately, there's a lot of RNG in that game as well. It's actually crazy.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, it was only Odyssey, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, and Mario Kart 64. Those are the only ones I met my goal in. So in Mario Kart 64, I wanted to get a 45, and I ended up getting a 41. So
Jesus.
I blew that one out of the water, which was good. So I got that.
Record for that's
Um,
like 38, right? Am I
yeah,
crazy?
38, 33.
Holy shit.
Or I think it's beaten now.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's like 38, 30, 29? I don't know.
yeah,
Mid
something like that.
38. Oh,
Yeah.
that has to be right.
hmm But I got a 41 in that. It was good. Oh.
Yeah, that's wow.
And then in Star Road, I got a 118 and that was 80 star.
Mm.
So similar to like 70 star in Mario 64. Star Road I think has 150 stars. So
It's
80
got
star is like the
130.
yeah. Oh yeah, 130. That's right. Um so 80 star is like the equivalent of 70 star. It's like the no major glitches category. And I got a 118. I wanted to get sub hour in that because I was like, you know what? I'm good at Mario. I feel like I can get sub hour. And the record's a 50:47. So I was like, yeah, sub hour should be easy. And that
No.
was far from the truth. Star Road is that's a hard game. That's a very hard ROM hack run because ROM hacks of Mario 64 are so different than the vanilla Mario 64. It's actually you would think it's the same, but it's pretty different.
hmm I know you've done quite a few ROM hack runs though, so I guess we can get into that too.
Yeah. Um, Another ROM hack I did was Green Stars.
Yeah, I've played
Um,
that one too.
that's a really cool speed run. I only did 131 star, which is the 120 equivalent.
hmm
Um, they actually they were sorry they revised the old version of Green Stars. So like they did a lot of like quality of life improvements in the new version. So
Yeah,
you
it
only
runs on
need eight.
console now.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
runs on console. Runs super well on console, by
Oh
the way.
yeah.
It's actually insanely
I
cool
played through it
how.
earlier this year on console because the last time I
Mhm.
played it was like 2018.
Yeah, yeah, it's an old hack for
I
sure.
do
So
have one gripe though, is I don't like 80 coin star and 6 out of 8 reds. I don't like that.
yeah, and then 4 out of 5 secrets.
Oh, I
That's
didn't even think of that.
Yeah, 4 out of 5 secrets as well.
Nah.
I think those are. I was gonna hate on that, but I actually like that they're only 80 because the levels are so spread out and there's so many like different areas that like
Yeah.
I feel like 80 coins is like pretty reasonable to do. That's how they do it for all the newer versions of ROM hacks that are older now. They do like
Mhm.
80 coin stars instead of 100.
Like for the run it's
Um,
fine, but playing it casually, I'd prefer to like play how it was intended, I guess, when it was created.
yeah,
That's just I'm not a fan of that, especially when you can see like the 2 other reds floating around in the other secret. It's just like, can I at least have it be an option, right? Like you can
yeah,
select easy mode and then regular original mode or whatever. I don't know.
yeah. But yeah, I did 131 star, but they the not only did they do like the 80 coins for the 100 coin star and etc. whatever, they also like put in like no fall damage, which is
Yeah,
super
no fall
nice.
damage, no lives.
Yep, no lives
Um
either.
they
And
add
then
pipes for later stars so you don't have to traverse.
yeah, I think that was probably one of the biggest things was putting the pipes because for the first star they have you travel to that area, but then when you select the next star, they already have a pipe, so you don't have to go back there. And I think that's super big quality of life improvement in my opinion because the old version didn't have that. And then they have faster swimming as well,
Mhm.
which is really good. And they also have a timer for your wing cap and your metal cap, which is cool. I did like that. Um, then what else do they have? Oh, some of the mazes. There's like 2 maze parts of the game,
Mhm.
and they have like an overview of the entire maze now. And in the original, there was no overview of it. You kind of just had to like figure it out on your own. And there were 8 red coins in those areas as well. Whereas the maze now, it's just a star, and you just go to the star, and that's it. So they cut out like 2 minutes of backtracking just because of that. I thought that was a pretty good quality of life improvement as well.
I don't like the constant overhead camera though.
Yeah. I kind of wish they kind of kept it how it was, but then kept the star in there, you know?
Or like made it so you could change the camera between the overhead and normal, so you could like see where you are and then
Yeah.
map it out. I don't know.
That would have been cool too. I'm actually derusting green stars now. I'm taking a break from 120.
Mm.
So I'm derusting green stars right now because I'm doing a showcase for a charity for speed docs. So I'm showcasing 131 star. So I'm derusting this week and next week in my showcases and like not this Friday, but the next Friday after that. So I got to get ready for it.
Neat.
Yep.
Yeah, I've definitely played that quite a bit, that hack. So,
I think if you ever want to speed run a ROM hack, I think Green Stars is probably like the best one. That's like the closest to Mario 64 as a ROM hack, in my opinion.
yeah, like nothing is changed really. It's just new levels
Yes.
for the most part.
Yeah.
I know
Yep.
hacks now get a little crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Like Lucy's levitation. Like, have you ever played that hack?
I have not played it, but I've seen the whole thing, and ugh, how
Yeah.
is
It's
that
very,
Mario?
I know, it's very crazy looking.
And then just all the hacks they're like announcing nowadays are just I don't know how it works. How are you doing this?
Yeah, I kind of like the old school ROM hacks where it's just like more Mario 64 levels. I think that's why I
Hmm.
like Green Stars and Star Road a lot because they were just like extra Mario 64 levels, and
Yeah,
I I,
I
ki- I
like
kind of
both.
like that.
Yeah, I hope they keep making like just level changes on
Yep.
top of the crazy wacky shit they do now or
Yeah.
whatever. Both have
Yep.
merit.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Um. So yeah, that's what I'm doing now, and I would like to get a world record in 131 star. I'm 4th place right now,
Mm.
so I feel like my run was pretty good, but like my movement's gotten a lot better since then. The last time I PB'd in green stars was like I think a year ago. It was definitely a while ago. Um, and uh, I have like a lot of errors and mistakes in my run that I can definitely clean up and do a lot better. And during that point, I was playing that ROM hack on emulator, and I thought playing on a console would suck. But playing on a console, it feels really good. So I'm sticking with console. So
Yeah, I guess they allow it now because it runs perfectly with the new like QOL and all that.
yeah, and even though it does lag in some areas for green stars on console, they go by in-game time. They have an in-game timer at the end
Mm.
that's what the time is rather than an RTA. So it doesn't matter if you run on console or not.
Does the IGT have the decimals too?
Yeah,
Nice. Okay, cool.
yeah. It does it by like the decimal to the second. Like it's really accurate.
No, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, have you done any other ROM hack runs?
The only ones I did were it was Green Stars and Star Road, but I was learning Star Attack rebooted, and
Hmm.
that's a rough run hack. That's a tough one. I learned like the first like third of it, and I wanted I think it's like 170 star or something. I forget what the amount is, but I was learning that, and I was going like I was just this game is insane. Like there's so many things you go through and I'm like, what level am I in? Am I in the right level? It gets extremely confusing.
Yeah,
The
I'm not
reason why
familiar with that one.
yeah, the reason I was doing that is because they were doing a ROM hack league
Mm.
for it's similar to the Mario 64 league where they have like PBs and you get a team drafted. It's this they did it for a ROM hack community as well, and I joined because I was like, I'll do more. I'll do some more ROM hacks. And Green Stars was on there, and I always wanted to do Green Stars. It was always on my list to learn, and that gave me an excuse to do Green Stars. I was like, oh, perfect.
Okay, and that's where the other one came from too.
Yeah, Star Attack was also on there. It was that Star Attack and Mario's New Earth or something, which I wasn't familiar with, but I didn't even bother learning that one.
I see.
So yeah, I only did Green Stars 131 star for my team. That
Hmm.
was it.
Well, speaking of the league, since you brought it up, yeah, there's the normal Mario 64 league. Have you done any work with that?
I did, yeah. So beginning of the league, my PB was a 139.58,
Hmm.
and now I have a 138.58. So I brought it down by like a minute. So I contributed quite a few points to my team, but I didn't do any other category. I want to at least do 70 and 16 a little bit, but I was way too into 120 for me to do other categories. I guess when you start doing 120, it's just like I don't want to do anything else. I don't want to waste my time with any other category. I just would rather do 120.
Mm-hmm. And how did the leagues kind of work?
So the leagues, there's like a stream that happens, and depending on if you sign up or not, you're put on a list, and you're put on a seed. So like first seed would be Ouija because he
Yeah.
has world records and like the best time, like really good times in other categories. So he's top seed, and then like Sweegie is like second seed or whatever because he has world record in three of the other categories, and then 120 like really good time as well. And it just goes down the list of like how good your PB is, and that's what seed you're in. And then there's multiple teams that are made prior where there's a captain, and the captain picks people out of the seeding group. So even though you may not want like seed like two or three, they may be taken because they go in order because they do like a roll call and that goes in order while it's on stream. And the captain will be like, okay, I'll take like Horde does speed runs, and this person will be like, okay, I'll take Squimmy or something. So they just go whoever they want for their team, and they just go in order. in the seeding process. So then that's what they call as drafting. And they I think they do that in sports too. I'm not super familiar with sports, but I think sports they do the same thing. They do like a seeding drafting table. I'm pretty sure. So that's how that goes. And they go through the entire list of everyone who signed up. Even if you have no PBs and
Hmm.
nothing, if you sign up, you're still going to be drafted no matter what. So I think that's cool.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. I remember I was captain last year, and my last person, I think I was second to last for drafting order. So I got like, I think I had to pick between three people. Oh, no, I was third to last because I had to pick between three people. And I literally picked one dude because I liked his name. I didn't know who he was. I liked his name more than the other ones.
Hmm.
So I was like, I'm just gonna pick you because I like your name. And I was like, whatever. And so the league went by, and he ends up scoring like a lot of our points because he got drafted, even though he was like the last pick.
Hmm.
He ended up scoring like a lot of points. It doesn't matter how good the PB is. If you PB by a certain amount, like say that your time in 120 is like 4 hours, and you ended up getting like a sub 2 hour time after that, you're gonna get a crap ton of points for your team because depending on how much you PB by is how many points you get for your team. And it all like obviously like going from 4 hours to 2 hours. I feel like a lot of people can do that. It's not like super crazy out of the ordinary, but like saying going from like a 149 to a 137, that's going to be completely different. And
Hmm.
that's it. The way they have it like mathed out, you get more points depending on how high your PV is, if that makes sense. So they have the whole formula dedicated just to that. The Mario 64 community is very meticulous when it
I
comes
see.
to math and numbers and stuff. And you get more points depending on how high your PB is already. So when I went from 139 to 138, I got a lot of points, more points than someone who to get a 4 hour time to a 2 hour time. I think it's more actually on my side to get a 139 to 138 because it's
Hmm.
so much harder to
Yeah.
do that. So
Yeah, I was
um,
always wondering how they did points in that way because there has to be such a difference between the time.
yeah, yeah, and there is. So, and they have that calculated on a spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet does it automatically. So, they have a lot of systems in place for that. So,
Hmm.
that's why that ends up working. And then same thing goes with like if you get like a 0 star PB and you PB by like 10 seconds or something, but you're like top 10, you're gonna get a crap ton of points because the category is so short. So you get a lot of points even though it's a 10-second PB. That's more so if like you got like a 1630 to like a 1540 and 16 star. I think you get more points by like 10 seconds in 0 star if you have an insane PB. So it all like kind of weighs itself out depending on how short the run is and how good your PB is. So there's a lot of other logistics that go along with it, but I think that's like the easiest way I can explain it.
No, I got it.
Okay.
Um, and so the five main categories all count towards points, I guess.
Hmm.
Got it. Yeah, that's
Yep.
cool. Maybe I should try it sometime just to give myself an excuse to play the game more.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, even if you don't have a PB in anything, like I don't have a PB in 0 and 1 star. I've never done it before, but you can, still apply for the league and still be fine. People apply with no PB at all. They never even speed ran the game. I know
Hmm.
a buddy of mine, What a Turtle, he didn't have a 70-star PB and now he has sub hour.
Whew.
So
Wow.
just all within the league. So he's been doing really well lately. So
Yeah, how frequently are they and how long do they last?
the leagues last like it depends on what time of year it is, but this league lasted almost 2 months.
Mm.
So they last quite a while.
Is it like once a year then?
Yeah, for the normal league, it's once a year, but they do a league every 2 years. So on like during like the winter season or off season, they do another league, but they don't do the main categories. They'll do like another category. So
Like an extension?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
so last year we did the nonstop league, so it was all nonstop categories, which was
All right.
cool. And I know another one they did I think it was the 0 star league. Even though it's a main category, not a lot of people had 0 star experience because 0 star is just 0 star.
Yeah.
So I think they made a 0 star league, and that kind of popped off too. A lot of people got into SBLJ during that, so I thought that was pretty cool. Trying to think if there's like another one they did that was that, but I don't think they did. I think it was just nonstop in the 0 star league that were kind of the off ones. But I do hear talks of a league where it's all alls, if that makes sense. So like
Uh-huh.
all alls. So in the category, there's so many category extension like things in Mario 64. So there's one called all question mark boxes, and you got to get all those. That's the category. And there's one that's called all signs,
Oh,
all
okay.
blue coins, all red coins, all coins. So they were kind of talking like we should do like a league where it's all of those categories, all alls is what they would call it.
I get it now.
Yeah.
Okay. Definitely needed some context to
Yeah.
understand that one.
Yeah, it just sounds really funny to say all alls because it just doesn't make sense when you first hear it.
Sure doesn't. Now that'd be funny. Um, so you brought up nonstop. Have you done some nonstop too?
I have, yeah. I'm sixth. I think I'm sixth place in nonstop 120,
Mm.
so a pretty good PB. I did do a lot of it back, like I think last year. Um, but the thing with nonstop is like it's pretty hard because you have no downtime. Because when you in nonstop, you pick up a star and then you just keep going.
Yeah.
So, in 120 nonstop, it's sort of like doing long 100 coins, and you just like you have to exit stage because the star doesn't kick you out. You have to exit the stage manually, and so you're like going back and forth between all these stages. And like um, since you had no downtime, you couldn't really like take a breather and like chill out for a second because you were just constantly going. And I think that's why I like really like Mario 64 and you can pump in so many hours into doing runs is because you do a star and you take a small break. Like half the time in 120 is downtime because when you collect the star, you take that small break, you're good, whatever. And nonstop, it gets rid of all of that. So that's why it's a little hard sometimes for me to do nonstop. But I like doing the 120 category. I thought it was cool collecting all the stars and getting them all under like an hour and 10 minutes.
Hmm.
Pretty cool. Um, uh, recently, a D whatever, he's the world record holder of nonstop 120 right now. He also 70-star goat. He submitted a race between the two of us to ESA Winter 2024, and he submitted it as like a joke. He was like, "You want to just do this and maybe we'll get in. It'll be cool if we do it." And I was just like, "Yeah, why not?" And so he submitted it, and then it actually got accepted. And I was like, "Oh,
Oops.
so are we actually doing this?" And he's like, "Hell yeah, we are." I'm like, "Okay." So I had to get my. I've never been to Europe before in my life. I had to get my passport. It was a whole big thing. So I ended up flying over to Sweden, ESA, and it's the first time I was ever in Europe. It was super cool. Um, Very cool, memorable experience. I think ESA was super fun. Met a lot of people I knew who were all like European, and meeting them for the first time, it was super cool. Um, so we did a race in nonstop 120. We showcased that. It was super cool.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I did have moments where I did like nonstop 120, but then there were moments where I was just like, I feel like I'm wasting my time because I was like, I'd rather be doing like normal 120 at this point. So, um, and with nonstop as well, there's actually no intro. It actually has intro skip.
Oh, hell yeah.
So, well, you'd say hell yeah, but like you would think it sounds good, but like having the intro actually is really nice. And
Yeah.
having no intro, I feel like I'm just reset happy. and just like resetting constantly. If I make one tiny mistake in the beginning of my Lakitu skip, I'll just be like, I'm just gonna reset it. I'm already right here. So I think it gives me more of a chance to be like, if I have the intro, I'm just like, okay, I have a little dust, whatever. I'm just gonna keep going because I don't want to sit through the intro again. But
Hmm.
having that like intro there, it's kind of like a mental reset of like, okay, I'm ready to get into the run, I'm ready to start, whatever. But like intro skip, you're just like, go. That's
Yeah.
it, just constantly just go. So I kind of like having. I'm kind of in the minority when when I do say this, but like I prefer an intro because I did intro skip. I didn't like it. So
I see. So there's quite a few differences between nonstop and regular.
yes, yes, there's a lot of like different routing in 120 nonstop than it is vanilla 120
Hmm.
because everything just seems like a big 100 coin when you do nonstop. There's a lot of running around. And there's some stars you can't do because it only unlocks on certain star select stages when you select the star. So, for example, like CCM, that's the stage you enter the most because you have star. Well, the big penguin race doesn't spawn unless you do star 2 or 3. And then for the Snowman's Lost Head, that's on star 5. So you have to re enter for that one as well. So you have to re enter CCM 3 separate times. Whereas most of the other levels, you either enter once or you enter twice. CCM is the only one you enter all 3 times. So there's a lot of cool like routing things you can do in nonstop as well. Since you're exiting the stage all the time, you can like do a different stage rather than another stage that a lot of other runners are doing. So like what's cool about doing nonstop um, with that is you can do Rainbow Ride early, you can do Tippy early, and you can do a certain stage last if you wanted to. Like some people are doing BBH last because it's a lot easier in nonstop than the other stages, so they save the easiest for last, which
Hmm.
makes sense. So there's a lot of like routing changes you can do, which is super cool in my opinion. So it's not always going to be the same kind of route if you're used to a certain route, um, but it can change depending on what you want to do. So
You
pretty
still
cool.
have to unlock everything, right?
Yeah, so, like, you can't, bypass the second key door for upstairs. You have to wait until it's unlocked when you beat Bowser,
Hmm.
but you can do you can do Womps last if you wanted to. Like, there's a lot of, like, choices you can choose from. I don't know why you'd wanna do Womps last, but you can if you want.
I see. Well, I mean, at least it's unique, right?
Mhm. I think out of all category extensions, that one's probably the one of the coolest looking ones. That one and All Signs as well actually
Hmm.
is super cool. You wouldn't think All Signs is cool, but the movement tech in it is actually pretty sick. There's a lot of like cool strats that you wouldn't even think of doing, and then there's also signs that you've probably never seen before in your life. Like, why is there a sign there?
Hmm.
So it's pretty cool.
HMC must take a while.
I think HMC is like one of the longest stages. That
Shocking.
and I think BOB. BOB has a lot of signs too.
Yeah.
Um, and the stage actually ends in Snowman's Land on the last sign. So you don't do Bowser throws, and you don't do bits or anything.
Hmm.
And there's no signs in TTM, and there's no signs in Rainbow Ride or bits. So you just don't do those, and it just ends in Snowman's Land when you've read the final sign. That's pretty cool.
Oh, category extensions.
Yeah, they're wacky. I think All Signs is pretty. It's probably one of my favorites just because of how like it's cool movement and it's wacky. It kind of like changes the game up that you're not like you're used to one thing and then when when you're so used to doing something for so long and it changes it up, it keeps the game like fresh. You're not doing the same thing over and over again.
So you've ran that category too?
I did All Signs like one night. I
Oh,
learned
okay.
the run and then I did it in one night and I have a run recorded. I just never uploaded it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
There any other worthwhile extensions or?
Uh, I didn't really run any of the other category extensions. I know there's a category called MST, which is funny in Mario, but I think it's all 100 coins, all red coins, like all red coin stars, and then like all mini bosses, and then like there's like other like something else in that category, or all Bowser stages, Bowser red coin stars as well. There's a lot of movement where you have to do red coins on their own that you don't combine with a 100 coin. So that category is pretty cool. I think I wanted to pick that one up. Um, and I think there's another one called All Trees,
Mm.
which that one also ends with Snowman's Land, and it's until you grab the last tree. And you would think like all trees would be interesting, but there's like tree tech that you have to do because there's a way you grab a tree and you swing around it and you lose time. If you grab the tree a certain way, you can just grab it super quick and then jump off and then grab the next tree like super fast after that. So there's actually tree tech involved, which is kind of cool. So
Well,
so
the
that's
fun
another
world
one.
of category extensions.
Yeah, there's so many different category extensions in Mario 64. It's literally like it's such a vast leaderboard on
Hmm.
SRC. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, we have a ton of Mario 1 ones, so.
Yeah, I can imagine. What's the wackiest
Oh,
Mario
good
Brothers
God.
one category?
These are we have a few, like, Game Genie code ones, so those are
That's
always
cool.
interesting. Like this one where you
Mhm.
just swim everywhere, and, like, the warps are broken. I don't
Oh,
know why
interesting.
that's there, but it is. I don't know. Those boards are always weird.
Yeah, it's funny. I know in Ocarina of Time, there's a category extension called Dank Percent.
Oh, yes. Of
I don't know
course.
if you're familiar with that.
Who isn't?
That's pretty funny. Those who don't know, you have to grab a Deku stick. You have to get a Deku stick. You gotta put it on fire, and then you gotta do OI, which is Ocarina items. So when you do OI, you can put up any object and treat it like an ocarina. So you can do it with your sword. You can do it with a bomb. But you wanna the when you do dank percent, you have to get a Deku stick that's on fire, and then do ocarina items. You have to do OI, and then it looks like Link is smoking like a huge blunt. So that's why it's called dank percent. Pretty funny.
Oh, speedrunning.
Yeah,
The things that we do.
get I know. Just get take a game from the 90s or the 80s and just see how much you can dissect it, and that's basically what speedrunning is.
Hmm. So since you brought up ESA, we can talk about, like, live events and all that.
Yeah.
So I guess, what was the first event you went to in person?
First event I went to in person was actually Pace in 2022. I was gonna go to GDQ in 2020, but the pandemic happened. So
Hmm.
I actually was gonna go to GDQ like pretty early on. Well, not early on, but in 2020. But when the pandemic happened, I didn't go because of that reason. So yeah, Pace 2022 was the first one I went to. That's where I met like everyone who was online. It was pretty surreal to see that. It was pretty cool. Um, and I was doing a showcase for Pace. I was showcasing Nonstop 120 for them. It was cool. Even though our run was like at 3 a.m., it was still pretty cool. So I did that, and then I went to the Pace after that, and I actually showcased Metroid Prime. So that was super cool too. So I got to play some Metroid Prime for people showcased. Um, even though they were at like late at night, there weren't a lot of people watching. So I wasn't as nervous. And playing in front of people online, I don't get as nervous when I play for people in person. So I think it's very different. Because I played for GDQ hotfixes. I think I played either two. No, I played two. I played two hot fixes, and they were both nonstop 120, which was cool. So I did that for them as well, and thousands of people were watching. And I wasn't super nervous. I think I was a little nervous at the beginning, but like once you're doing the run and you're feeling like you're just doing a run, then it's nothing too crazy. But I think the most nervous me feeling was when I did ESA. I was very nervous at ESA because there was like hundreds of people watching. I felt very very nervous because of that. I was like on stage and like you had the whole commentators there, and like you got like the person reading donations there. You got people talking like strats, and like I'm going up against D whatever, and he's like absolutely insane at Mario. So I'm feeling nervous about that too. So I think for as cool as ESA was, and to play there across the world for a game I speedrun, which is super cool. Um, it was definitely like super nerve wracking to be up on stage. I was not as confident as I felt when it came to when it came to that ESA run. I was not as confident, but um, I think if I performed at like a GDQ or something, I'd probably feel the same way, unless like I did Mario 120 star. I think if I did 120 star, I would probably feel very confident. But if I did like some other game or some other category that got into GDQ, I think I'd be extremely nervous. But if it's 120, I think I'm very confident in 120. I could do it anywhere. Feel pretty reasonable about it, but I don't know. Maybe if I did do 120 in front of GDQ, it might be really hard, but I don't know. I don't see myself doing 120 at GDQ like at all because I'm not like cream of the crop 120 runner. I am top level, but like not super top level. Like I'm not even top 20. I'm
Yeah.
21st, but um
I don't know. I don't feel
uh
like that should matter that much as long as like it's an entertaining run with good commentary and all that.
yeah, and I do like I guess is a good segue. I do like doing commentary a lot for Mario as well. Like I can talk hours about Mario and just not shut up and just yap constantly. So when I'm doing a run and I'm showcasing it in front of people who may not be familiar with like is happening, I can explain it pretty well. It is hard sometimes when you are running the game and explaining it, but I think I've gotten better with that because I'm just going through the same motions every single time whenever I'm doing run. So, um, so I think I can be pretty exact whenever I have like my commentary moments when I'm showcasing it. I think I can be pretty good at it. And I do like doing regular commentary when I'm not playing the game, and all my focus is in the commentary. And I always have a blast whenever I do commentary for someone's run. I've had people ask me, "Hey, can you do comms for my run?" And I'm like, "Yeah, 100%, sure. I'm totally down." I did I did Blue Bob's run when he did his hot fix for 120. He DM'd me and then he DM'd Callie. So it was me and Callie on comms, which was super
Mhm.
cool because I don't think Callie's really done commentary really much at all, but he did a super good job for the GDQ hotfix. I mean, me and him talk all the time together, but like him like communicating and doing commentary, I was actually really impressed with like how well he did, and I was I it felt really cool to be involved with that as well. Um, so I did that, and then like I obviously do the GSA LTA commentary. A bunch of people do, but like I like doing it with someone I may have not done comms with before ever. Maybe I haven't talked to him a lot. Um, and I'm still able to like figure out like, okay, this person knows all the stuff. So maybe they could take the reins in some parts where they're like, okay, they can explain this part. Or maybe the person is not as familiar with 120. They need to rely on me for a lot of the information. And I can kind of pick up on that, knowing if they have run 20 or not. And I sometimes say stuff during commentary where my commentator in like the booth with me, they're like, "Oh, I actually didn't know that that was supposed to happen," or like, "I didn't know that's why they did that." And I was like, "Yeah, that's the reason why that happens." So it's pretty cool when you can say stuff and then your commentator can learn things from you. I think it's uh, a pretty cool thing to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, commentary's fun. Especially like for me, I'm bad at if I have to do commentary, I'm bad at doing it on my own. I need someone to bounce off of, so being able to do
Yeah,
that is definitely the best like commentator experience, I think.
yeah. No, I agree. Definitely having someone else in the booth with you and you're not on your own. I think it works really well. I think if you have 3 commentators, it might get a little messy, but,
Yeah, that might
like,
be a little too much.
if you have, like, 1 runner and then, like, 3 commentators, I think that's a lot. I think 2 is perfect. 1, you may have to do a lot of work, but it can still work depending on how much um, the person doing the run, how much they talk, because maybe you can bounce off of them. But I think when you have 2 commentators and 1 runner, that's perfect in my opinion.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. Just nice group of three, two comms, one
Mhm.
runners, like the ideal situation.
Yes. Yep,
And then
exactly.
like again for something like an LTA where you can't hear any of the runners, they're all doing their own thing. Two commentators is perfect for that.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
So yeah, they do it well. So
Yeah,
always
shout
watch those
out
events.
GSA.
Yeah.
They do a super good job with like the LTA and speedrunning stuff. They really give people an opportunity to like really show their stuff and how they do the LTA. Anyone can sign up for it as long as they have the run.gg plugin. Um, they can do runs and be showcased on the big screen. So it gives a lot of people a chance to show what they're made of to like a general audience. And they every time they do the GSA pace, they get like thousands of people watching all the time. People are always eager to watch 120.
Pace
So
is a good time, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I liked when they I like when they do other games like online. Like they since you we were talked about Mario 3 a little bit, they did a like Mario 3 Warpless LTA one day. And I was
yep,
like, fuck it, I'll join. It's been a while. My experience specifically with that was I got a 104 after a 12-hour challenge in like 2019 and then
yeah,
didn't touch the game again until like 2023 when they did that LTA.
yeah.
During that LTA I got a PB. It was a 54.
Wow,
So I'm just like,
that's
holy shit, I
crazy.
just PB'd by 10 minutes and the commentators didn't believe me. I was just like, and then I PB'd by another 20 seconds after that.
What? Wow, that's crazy. You should probably push the Warpless in Mario Brothers 3.
Yeah, it's on my list, but again, it takes so long to like get comfortable with a run to like start streaming it, and
Yeah,
you want to like focus on so many things at the same time. You just can't do that, and it's like, I have to sacrifice something.
yeah, that's
It
exactly
sucks.
how life works.
Fuck life. No,
Yeah,
let me speed run. Damn it.
yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah.
um, yeah, that's really cool. I know they did that, and they did a Super Metroid LTA as well.
Yeah.
They did 1 weekend of that. I actually did commentary for that as well,
Oh,
which was
cool. Yeah.
cool. So I'm me not super familiar with Super Metroid, but I know like some stuff. I was able to bounce between another commentator who knew way more about the game than I did. There was one point where I was in the booth with somebody. This is kind of embarrassing. So I was in
All
the
right.
booth with somebody and we were just talking and like saying like, "Oh, this person's getting to this part. This person's on mother brain, whatever." And there was like a little bit of silence, probably like 5 seconds of silence or something, because you don't want to be talking the entire time. You want some
Yeah.
silence here and there, to break it up a little bit. So I asked my commentator, like in the booth with me, I was like, "So you seem to know a lot about the Super Metroid. Like, how long have you been around in the community?" And he was like, "Oh, I've been around since 2011." And I was like, "So he's probably like a super OG." And it's just like, whoosh, I don't know this person at all, and I'm just some like doofus person who just picked the game up last year who just watched it casually. I'm just like, yep, I know what I'm talking about." So I just felt like a doofus during that moment. I was like, "Oh my god." I didn't realize this person was, like, around for so long.
I mean, I don't see what's all that cringe about it. You can't know everyone.
Yeah, I know, but, like, 2011, so
Yeah, I mean that's a while back, but I mean,
yeah, that's like if I'm in the booth of Siglemic and I'm like, "How long have you been with Mario?" You know? It's the same thing, I feel like.
hmm, maybe I don't know. I I'm sure there's plenty of people from 2011 I don't know about, so I'm not gonna
Yeah.
pretend that's a big deal. But
But yeah,
yeah,
they did the Super Metroid, block, which was super cool.
I hope they do more stuff like that. I
Yeah,
enjoy the variety of like the off season stuff.
yeah, and I know they did banjo during PACE, like,
Hmm.
at the live event too, so half the runners were, online, but then the other half were, like, in
I
person,
think it was
so
only
it was.
two were in person actually.
Oh, was it 2?
I
Okay.
think it was kind of weird, but
Yeah.
oh well.
I thought it was cool, though. I did commentary for that as well. 'Cause I
Mm.
I knew some banjo stuff from when I ran it, and it was the same thing. I knew enough about it to, like, talk about things, but my commentator probably knew, or I would say every single time, they knew more about the game than I did. So, um, I think I was kinda helping Milo out because they didn't have a lot of commentators for banjo, so I was just kind of being like, "I know banjo, if you need commentary, let me know," and he threw me in there. I was like, "Okay, perfect." So, um but I was talking to, like, other commentators for banjo, and they knew a lot of stuff too, and usually if I don't know stuff in a game that I'm doing commentary for, I'll usually ask my co-commentator and be like, "So what's happening here? How come they're doing this?" You know? And I like when they explain a trick. If I'm watching it happen, I'm just like, "So I don't understand what's happening here," or like, "Why is he doing this?" And they usually go into like super great detail and they're like, "Oh, he's doing this because of X," you know? So
Hmm.
I think it's pretty important to like keep, have like the audience mentality of being like, "I don't know what's happening," and kind of fill in that role to be like, "Okay, this is a good chance to explain to the audience this is what's happening here." Um, so I think it's cool whenever I do like commentary for a game I'm not super familiar with. For Mario, it's totally different. I can write a 500-page essay on Mario. So
Mario, the man, the myth, the legend.
that's right.
Well, I think we've covered most of everything. Can't think of anything else really to bring up.
No, I can't really think of any as well. I think we've hit all the points of how involved I am with speedrunning and my upbringing in speedrunning and all that stuff and what else I do. So um, yeah, this was a great interview. It was cool to like just kind of go off the cuff of what I was
Hmm.
talking about, and then kind of go into detail on like other things that you know we both have similarly thought of at the same time, and I think it was a really cool interview. So thanks for having me. And I always see like these always pop up, and I always wanted to be a part of it. So thanks for having me.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I'll go ahead and ask one final thing: is like future plans with speedrunning, streaming, etc. I know you talked a little bit about green stars in the immediate future, but I'm sure there's some other
Yeah,
stuff.
so I have my showcase in 2 weeks for Green Stars for Speed Docs, um, which is a charity they're running for. I forget the name of the charity, but they're doing a full charity event. I've done it every year for them since 2021, so they always do a great job. They're very professional there. It's like it reminds me of GDQ. Like that's how professional it is. They do a
Mm.
super good job. So and all the runs every single year are awesome. They do such a good job of the runs and everything's on time. Donations are super nice. Like it gives me like GDQ energy. So that's why I like doing it a lot. So doing that in 2 weeks. And I think after that, I'll probably go back to 120. And by the end of this year, I'm hoping to get a 137. it's a little ambitious, but I did get the 138 recently, so hoping to get a
With a
137 soon.
40-second mistake, so
Yes,
essentially
yes,
like a 138 1x or whatever.
yeah. Mhm. So I definitely do want to keep pushing my time to 137, and then in the future, definitely qualify for a future pace. That's always been a goal of mine. I think if I do get to like the lower 138 range, I'll definitely be in the realm of like qualifying for one. So I just want to keep working on that, working on my Mario, and maybe pick up some more speed games. I had a whole I had a whole other like 12 games I wanted to learn in 2023. I just never got around to learning them all.
Oh,
So,
like the week-long things again.
yeah,
All
yeah, I
right.
was thinking about doing it again. I think maybe when I get 137, I think it depends on the time of year. Maybe I'll do some 1 week challenges here and there because I do miss those. Those were super fun.
Yep.
And then maybe at some point I was thinking about this. It just kind of came across my mind, but it does take a long time and does get involved with people. But I wanted to do like some 120 tournaments as well. I was thinking
Ooh.
about doing that, not for like top level runners, but like
Mid-level?
yeah, like high mid level, like
Okay.
139's the cutoff.
Oh,
And
okay.
if you
No, that's still
it's
pretty
like
good.
yeah, yeah. So like 139 to like 145 or something. I think within
Yeah,
that realm, I
that's
want to
certainly
get.
not mid-level. Never mind.
Yeah, yeah. No, high
High mid.
mid-level
Okay.
ish. Yeah. So, um, like 100th place uh like 30th place or something. So that's kind
I
of what I
see.
was thinking of in the realm. Um, and get people like more involved with races because we do see a lot of LTAs happening and all that, but I do kind of miss the races. I think the races were super cool.
Mhm.
Um, Lay Sauce used to do a lot of 120 races and 70 races with a bunch of people in the community, and those were always super fun to watch, very entertaining. I always loved when he had those, and he hasn't really been doing the tournaments because he's had a lot of IRL stuff. I think he got a job recently, so he hasn't really been doing the tournaments because of that. So I maybe I can do it, but I think it might be a lot to take on for a tournament kind of thing. But it's just an idea I have. But I definitely want to kind of think about doing that in the future because I do miss the races, and you know I think that and like try and build like my streaming stuff, maybe like Twitch partner soon.
Mm.
I'm not like super like gung ho at trying to get partner, but like the better you do get at a game, the more people take notice, and you do end up getting like a little audience. So I was streaming earlier today with no mic and no cam, and I had like 50 people in my stream with no raid. And I was just like, okay, you
I
guys are just
wish.
watching. You
Yeah.
guys are just watching me just play and just reset the womps. Like, is this really what you guys want me to? This is what you want to watch? I'm like, all right, cool. So, um, yeah, Twitch partner probably like I'll think about it, but whenever I do runs, I'm more focused on my runs. I'm more of a speed runner than a streamer. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I focus way more on my runs, and I don't really talk to Twitch chat a lot, even though
I'm
I
the same way,
commentate and
so
do
yeah.
stuff. Yeah. So, um, maybe in the future, Twitch partner, but that's kind of on the back burner. I don't want to focus on that. I just want to focus on my speed running stuff. So,
Mhm. And since you brought
um,
up like having other games for potential like week challenges, what are some of those games?
Uh, so I had a whole list actually that I made. So
Ooh.
pull it up. I'll say it. I'll say I'm all live, so that way I'm spoiling everything. Actually, let me look it up. Did I delete it? May have deleted it.
No.
I deleted it. Well, anyways, I can tell them off the cuff. So I wanted to run Mario Brothers 1. I know
Wait,
you.
hold on.
Yeah, yeah. I want to do Mario Brothers 1 Warpless.
Oh,
Um,
wow. You're smart.
yeah,
That's awesome. You're
yeah.
intelligent. No.
I did not want to do any percent and get sub 5. I think that looks really hard. So I think
Oh,
Warpless is definitely good. So
sub 5 isn't too bad, actually.
isn't okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
But,
someday. So
no, stick with the worthless, though. That's the correct answer. I like that.
okay, okay. Yep, I want to do Warpless. I wanted to do Mario Brothers 2.
But which
Any
one?
percent, any percent.
No, like which Mario 2?
Oh, the
The normal one.
the yeah SMB2U.
Yeah, the vegetable one. Okay.
Yes,
Wrong
yes, that
choice,
one.
but that's okay.
SMB2 J, is that
Yeah.
the yeah, that one, the lost levels, that one seems really hard.
Yeah, I
Um
can't really say it's not.
so yeah, I want to do that one. I was planning on running Banjo Tooie 100%. That one's a lot longer than regular Kazooie, so that one
Mm,
might take a little longer. Um I wanted to run Metroid Prime 2 because I know how to run Metroid Prime 1. There's a big community with Metroid Prime 2 as well. The tech isn't really as the same as Metroid Prime 1, but there's a lot of there's a lot of out of bounds stuff in Metroid Prime 2, so I'd have to learn that. I'm familiar with the run enough to like understand what happens in it. Um, I wanted to do not a speed run, but I wanted to do Star Fox 64 hit score run. So thought about doing that because I love Star Fox growing up. I thought that game was super cool. Um, and then I also wanted to do let's see. So, oh yeah, I wanted to do Mario Galaxy. That was on the list
but the
of
602
run.
stuff.
Yeah,
Mhm.
some of the 602 stuff. I was gonna do any percent though. I wasn't gonna
Oh,
do
okay.
120,
Yeah.
but I think I want to do 120 now since I started learning it already. So I do that, and then trying to think of like other games that I had on my list, and they're kind of not there, but I guess those are like most of the games I probably want to do in the
I mean,
future.
it's a good list.
Yeah,
It's a lot of huge variety of different games, so
yeah,
definitely a lot to handle. But hey, if you do Mario 1, no, I'm here, so
yes,
especially
yeah,
since Warpless, that is very based. We'd love to
yeah,
hear it.
yeah. No, I think Warbles would have been a good one to do. I also want to do Metroid Fusion as well.
Yeah.
Metroid Fusion. It's not like super like glitchy. It's just everything's just movement. There are some skips here and there, but like I think it looks like a pretty chill game to run. It's not like super intense like Super Metroid.
Hmm.
It seems pretty more laid back. I kind of like that. So I think for a Metroid game where I'm not sweating constantly, I think that'd be a good one to do.
Yeah, all right. Sounds like plenty on the plate for the future, so that's good. Not
Yes, a
going
lot of
anywhere.
plans.
So,
Yep. Nope. Not going anywhere anytime soon. So,
very good. Well, I think that's everything then. I guess we can call it a day.
great.
Well, thanks for being on the show. I'll go ahead and let you self promote to your liking.
Yeah, I stream off of twitch.tv/itsbeeve. So ITSBEEVE. Um, and I stream 3 to 4 times a week. So I stream Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Sundays. So those are the times I stream. And since I already said what I was doing, I'm doing Green Stars, the Mario 64 ROM hack, D-Rust at the moment. So I'm gonna be streaming that for the next 2 weeks, and maybe get a world record. Maybe see. See, I'm fourth right now, so I can definitely see myself getting world record in that. Um, so yeah, that's what I'm doing now, and everything is the same on every social media platform. So it's the same thing on Twitter or X, whatever it is. And then also on YouTube, I upload a lot of my PBs to YouTube. So the same tag.
Yep.
So if you want to check me out there as well, that'd be cool.
You can find it in
And
the description down below.
yeah,
Crazy
description
stuff.
below. Yeah, internet's wild.
True.
But yeah, thank you for having me, GTA's. Really appreciate it, dude.
Yeah. No, thanks for being on the show. So, yep. You know where to find all the links. If you're watching live, I'll be putting this on YouTube right after. Watch on YouTube. Check out the streams every week. They happen. Next one's already scheduled for next Sunday, so we're good to go.
Nice.
All right.
Great.
Well, yep. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take care and see you next time, I guess. All right. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.